Hey guys, I have a reading for you, but I'm not really going to use the cards too much. I pulled them earlier um, to get a sense of what I was feeling, but it feels more like a story that needs to be told. And it's the story of a guy, a masculine. So you can be in a feminine vessel and still be in your masculine energy. Um, but I'm reading this from the perspective of a guy because it feels like a masculine energy. Anyway, imagine that you've got somebody who from childhood has had a very tumultuous relationship with their father. Imagine this as somebody where their father was consistently unfaithful to their mother. Um, the father was always so apologetic. He would always say it was an accident, but it created this disharmony in the home that was absolutely impossible to bear. You know, that at any moment the house could erupt in absolute screaming, throwing dishes, yelling, crying, all that stuff. Like, it's really upsetting to see that type of behavior out of your parents. Um, like, that's traumatic for a kid. That's one of the T's. Anyway, this masculine grew up in this environment, and because they didn't want to be in the home, they lived on the streets most of the time, uh, which caused other forms of trauma. And for better or for worse, they associate love with pain. That's the only kind of love they've ever known, both witnessed and experienced. Their parents hurt them in the ways that they loved them by not being able to provide a consistent upbringing, and possibly by doing other things that made love feel conditional, that it had to be earned, that you had to do something right to get it. Um, but one way or the other, love was painful. But there was something about this little boy's heart that always wished for something better, something deeper, something more romantic. You know, like one of those epic story time types of love. And he just felt really confident that it would just kind of fall in his lap one day, you know. And one day it kind of did, except that something went wrong. And maybe it went wrong because they had their heart broken prior. And so rather than handling the situation like it was something precious to hold, they handled it like they handled any other situation, you know, like take it or leave it. Come get me if you want me, whatever it is. Something along those lines. It wasn't handled well. And now they're at this spot where they are in love with someone that they can't be with because too much time has passed. Too much. It's cars. Yeah, it was Friday night. Too much time has passed. They don't know how to cross that barrier anymore with this person. They behaved in a way that they're embarrassed about. Anyway, they've been trying to work on themselves, improve themselves. They're reading books about it and how to be a better person. But they kind of keep coming back to like the basic stuff of like, you've got to make money to be a good husband, you've got to have a solid career, you have to be a provider, you have to be a provider to be a good husband. Because one way or the other, whether or not this other person is ever going to be in their life is irrelevant. It just happens to be that a big notice to them that they want to be married, they want to belong to someone, and they want a family, they want children. They're ready, they feel ready for that phase of their life. And that maybe that person where the situation wasn't handled right, that was just kind of a blip. Like, the reason that lingers on is because it's a learning opportunity to learn about yourself. So this masculine, decides that maybe to prove it to himself, he will behave as if he is married. Like, he will manifest a life that he wants, um, by kind of walking the walk. He's been a player for a long time. Maybe he will act like somebody who has somebody waiting for them at home. He will act like a man of integrity. And instead of, fucking around with a bunch of other people, he's going to say no. He's going to abstain. He's going to go without. Because he can do that. If he was married, he would go without. He wouldn't be hitting up all these people. So he's going to practice this behavior. But then hard times come, and he feels so lonely. And, he tries for months and months to maintain this behavior. And then, one day his schedule gets filled up and things are starting to happen. He's getting excited. And he feels that pull back into a life he once knew. Like, he feels like himself again, that kind of thing. And he gets, then he goes out with some friends and he starts drinking again. Maybe he starts, sniffing a little coke in the bathroom. I don't know. Something like that. And there's a girl there that looks a lot like the girl he likes, the one he's secretly in love with, the one he's pretending to be married to, if he's being honest with himself. But he's usually not honest with himself. Anyway, she looks awfully good, and he's awfully drunk. So now, as he empties himself, he collapses on the floor in complete shame of himself. And he realizes that he has become his father. That if he were to be married, each time would be a mistake. Each time would be unplanned. And each time he would blame the other person for it. I was lonely. I feel like you don't hear me. I was working so hard. It'd been so long. Whatever the excuse is. But he's realized he's his father. His father who he despised secretly for the chaos that he caused and the harm the emotional harm he caused to his mother. So here's this masculine curled up on the floor. What if he gets her pregnant? Anyway, on the spiritual side of things, part of what he's going through is he's realizing the cycle. As he sits there on his knees, praying for guidance, praying for clarity, he realizes he is praying to another father. And that he wonders if that father is like his father, if he is like his own father as well. What if our Father who art in heaven made mistakes? Maybe was an adulterer, or at the very least had the ability to be. That if his Father here on earth and his Father who art in heaven, what if they were cut from the same cloth? What if we are all one, which would mean those two are one and the same? What then? I'm gonna have to pause and clear off some storage. All right, part 2. Watch part 1. So, where we left off is we've got a masculine who is realizing that there is a duality to the divine. I think there's a part in the book that would be relevant. Hold on. Okay. Let's see. Alongside the mother, the father resides in the central axis of the archetypical family. The father embodies both light and dark aspects of the masculine. Thus, he is infinitely dynamic and complex. His energy is strong and regal, embodying such virtues as honesty, wisdom, and loyalty. Yet, ironically and simultaneously, the father is often absent, literally or emotionally. Through absence or action, the father eventually reveals that he is neither a king nor a god, but a human being with many flaws and wounds. He is both the guardian and one who leaves us to the wolves. Yet, here, the champion and the failure. The father can never resolve or escape this duality. It is inherent in the archetype itself. Witnessing the father's limitations allows the child to grow beyond the family and into the world. So, this is a profound realization for this masculine, that this duality exists, that he might be the very thing that he hates, and that he can't get rid of it. He doesn't know how. And so that's when he feels this kiss. Here we are. This kiss comes in the form of a divine hand. In his mind's eye, he sees an angel come. He feels her pull him from his stupor and take her outside, somewhere bright, like the top of the building or a beach, and strips him naked to allow the sun to caress and see everything. It is meant to be both metaphorical and a cleansing. This feeling of being seen by the light source, by God, by the sun, a radiant ball in the sky, by letting it see every piece of you, knowing that there's some parts that you might hold shame for, but that are part of you regardless. And you feel this sudden mercy, this feeling like you are beautiful, you are worthy of love, and you are loved despite, and in some ways because of, your flaws. He looks over at his angel, and she is stumbling, swerving back and forth until she finally collapses under a tree. Coming to rescue him from his despair took a lot out of her. And he realized that he is affecting her, that his reluctance to save himself from his stupor, from his despair, causes a ripple effect that depletes the power of God. And it is up to him to learn to grow his own wings, to pass beyond the threshold of the world, of his physical desires, and move into something higher. He may not know how to do it, but ultimately, it's up to him. Because the more he falters, the more he harms the very thing he loves most. I'm going to read you these last two cards that came out because I think they're important. The unseen is just as it sounds. We cannot see it, yet it sees us, watching and waiting with wisdom, both kind and intrusive. We feel this presence, sense it, intuit, and then doubt its existence, though it rallies our attention time and time again. This is the part where the sun is all over his body. This moment has happened multiple times before, and he just kind of shrugs it off and decides it was not real. The energy of the unseen may come in many forms: a compelling dream, a sudden insight, a clear voice, a vision or message from a loved one who has passed to the other side. It is natural to fear these communications as they challenge our perception of what is real. When this card appears, your guides are near. The eternal is present. The doorway between worlds is ajar. Listen. The sounds may seem as though they come from a distant land, but they call from your innermost chambers. Now, the other one that came out twice is the medallion. The medallion is the idea of some sort of talisman or jewelry that has significance to you. When the medallion card appears, be aware of how objects you hold dear may be embedded with unconscious energy or expectations. Materials hold consciousness, and it's time to reconcile the vibration of the objects around you. What do you covet and collect? Why? Is there an object you have held onto for years that you are ready to release? Perhaps it is time to reach for the medallion that aligns with your deepest values. There's something physical in your world that you're holding on to, or something or an idea that causes physical things to remain in your reality. But you need to let something go, something physical. Maybe it's luxury, maybe it's a piece of jewelry, but there's something that you need to let go, because you keep needing to be rescued, and you're depleting your spirit team because of it. You only get so many of those before they leave you alone. It's time to grow your own wings. It's time to pick yourself up and figure it out. Trust yourself. Trust your intuition. Trust what you're feeling is real. Your inner guidance is trying to talk to you, but you're a man, so you're not used to listening to it. Society has taught you not to. Listen. Feel its guidance. Let this be your message.